I came home from work today and we have a problem. A big problem for the whole entire herd. Very big problem. So somebody doesn't belong in here with all these does. Yes, Huckleberry is in here, and that's Mac, which is not good because I've got several does. I've got several junior does that cannot be bred. I've got several does that may have not settled from their breedings over the weekend. So our breeding program just got restarted pretty much. This really sucks because he got out of his enclosure and then we had a hole in the fence that we had plugged, that we'd put a panel up, but he kept pushing on the fence from what it looks like to where he finally broke through. So I need to go catch him and put him up, and then figure out what to do. Well, y'all, that was definitely not what I wanted to come home to. So in 7 to 10 days from now, we will probably wind up giving about 2 dozen Lutalyse shots. So we definitely, not saying that like Kit Kat or Mac aren't large enough to breed, but we just, that's not what we were wanting to do. And so as far as Huckleberry goes, he was to stud out the 2 does that are here on our property, Rosie and Elsa. And then he was to stud out Dorothy, and that would be it. He wasn't going to be used for anybody else this year, just because he's so heavily used the last few years. So anyway, let me show you what happened for him to have got out. And I mean, this could happen to any of us. So, and this is why it's very important to have as many sections of fence between the bucks and the does. So let me show you all real quick. Okay, so here's our makeshift breeding pen, which it'll hold Bordeaux and his does, and it will hold the Nigerians, but it won't hold S'mores. That's why we've got S'mores over here where the little bucks were, and as you can see, he is just tearing up everything because he smells all these does. And Sally has been covered, she's been bred, but it takes 2 of us to switch out, and we haven't had the only other doe that's going to be covered by S'mores is, I think, well, let's see, it's going to be Anna, Elsa, and Nellie, I think, are the ones that are going to be covered, but Nellie and Anna are going to have to wait a while. And so Elsa's ready, she just hasn't come into heat. So as you can see, that's closed, it's latched, and it's tied shut in 2 spots. So that's what's going on with them. And that is why S'mores is over here and not over here. So right here, we had this connected by a couple of cumber latches, and Huckleberry, or one of the does that was in here could have just, rubbed up against the fence like goats do. And, cumber latches are not necessarily that strong, but so that's what happened there. And It's no big deal. It can be replaced. We can fix that. But I'll show y'all what happened down here. Hi, Fidela. Okay, so right here, right where Sadie's going, she made a hole right here on our regular fence line here a couple months ago. She's not allowed in with the goats because she likes to chase them too much. So, then, so we put this piece of a panel up, and we had it tied with the blue twine back here, but I guess Huckleberry just came in and started working the fence and, you know, pushed that off, and that's how he got in. And then he ran the does all over the place. So, there's a few does in here that I know that we don't have to give Lutalyse shots to, just because I know like they're for sure bred. It's a couple of the boar goats, and then there's a couple of the junior boar goats that we've got to give Lutalyse to. So Lutalyse is a prescription drug. I should probably be more clear to where it is a prescription drug to where you can only get it from the vet, and it is used to either bring a doe into heat or make a doe abort or bring her into labor. 2 cc's. And that is going to be in the muscle. So, here in about, let's see, this is a Thursday. So this is a Thursday. Next Saturday or Sunday, it'll be that 7 to 10 day mark. You want it to be 7 to 10 day afterwards, to where that way if the doe took, then you have that ability to essentially abort the pregnancy, which I'm not a vet. I'm not saying that, you know, to have Lutalyse as a go-to means of drug. It's nice to have on hand. That bottle we've had on hand for a couple of years now. We've only had to use it a handful of times, and so the one time that we didn't use it was whenever we had Martha, and that's how we have Domino. He's actually his sire is actually Huckleberry. So, you know, for Huckleberry to have bred a boar doe and, you know, have a Nigerian boar cross, that's okay. But you don't want like a boar buck to breed a Nigerian doe, because the boars are a standard breed. It goes for anything. Standard breed does not mix well with miniature breed. Just keep that in mind. And, you know, there are certain breeds like mini Lamachas, mini Nubians, to where those are bred with Nigerians. But I want to say that it is the Nigerian buck that's being bred to the standard size doe. I could be wrong in those particular situations, because we're a Nigerian dwarf breeder. We're not a experimental mini breeder. So Lutalyse, I do not recommend using it as a form of birth control with your animals. It is there for worst case scenario, or for the accidentals, like today. And worst case scenario is to where it can bring a goat into labor if you need her to. That's few and far between. We've never had to use Lutalyse in a labor. And I don't intend on ever trying to use Lutalyse in a labor, but we have used it to, we've only used it I think one time to bring a doe into heat, because it does, it makes them, it produces the estrogen in their body in order for them to ovulate, in order for them to go to estrus, which is cycling. And so the same method as far as in this situation, to where we'll give it on somewhere between days 7 to 10 after being with the buck, and that way it is, it will induce them to go into estrus, to where they'll go into cycling. We'll have a lot that will be in heat. We'll make sure that the bucks are locked up, but that's pretty much how we're gonna have to do it. And a few of the does that we bred like 5 days ago, if they took, they may not have settled, so he may have got them, or you know, some situations to where it's just going to be that way. So we're going to be off a little bit on our dates, which is not what we want to be, but it's just going to be that way. So kind of sucks, but I wanted to share that, and hopefully y'all don't ever have this issue happen to y'all. So as I'm trying to finish up chores, guess who decided to join me? Someone who got out. Oh boy. Alright, well, I will catch y'all later.